Hey, Brittany.
So today I want to talk about something that is kind of a learned skill, but one that I think will help you as you grow older. And that is how to trust your gut, how to trust your gut instinct, not how to trust, like, oh, I ate too much ice cream yesterday and now my gut is literally hurting, which is a true story, by the way. But how to trust your gut instincts is what that means when we say like how to trust your gut. And that's something really, really important because our intuition, that little like voice inside of us that kind of tells us like this isn't right or maybe this is right, do this. We need to learn how to listen to that and to heed it because it will help us in situations. Like we have this cool little magic superpower within us that does actually guide us if we can learn how to trust it. Rachel, you look like you had something.
No, I'm fascinated.
Yes.
Because that is true. And it's something that a lot of kids, I think this is a great message for kids. Sometimes you're in a situation that just doesn't feel right. And so maybe you need to listen to that part of you that's telling you it's not a good situation. See if you can extract yourself.
Yeah, in my family growing up, we sometimes would refer to it as like a still small voice is what we'd call it. That kind of like lets you know when something is right or wrong and that you should listen to that. And, when we say trust your gut, you do kind of get like a feeling in your gut that's kind of like, oh, I don't know that this is the right thing to do. And it's harder, I think, to follow. Well, I think there's two parts to this. I think it's when you're younger, it's hard to follow because sometimes you're going to notice that what your friends do is not going to align with what your gut instinct tells you to do. And I was actually very good at that as a kid. I often did not do any of the silly, dumb things that other people my age were doing. And maybe I wasn't cool or didn't have, a fun experience, but I'm okay with that. Maybe you have,
Same.
right? Maybe you have that your gut saying, don't get in the car with these teenagers that just got their license and want to go somewhere that your parents didn't give you permission to go. And sometimes you find out later, like maybe, heaven forbid, there's like a car crash later and you think like, oh, my gut was right. And you learn that. But another thing about trusting your gut is realizing you're not always going to know how it ended up. So if somebody gets in a car accident and you think, oh my goodness, my gut told me what to do, sometimes you don't know what happened. But maybe if you had gone somewhere, something bad would have happened, if that makes sense. Like it's one of those things that you're
like
not.
the butterfly effect.
Like the butterfly, you don't know because we can't know what we don't know. But that's why it's important to listen to what your instincts are telling you to do. And it's not even just dangerous situations. Sometimes it's like job interviews. You have to trust your instinct on what to say and what not to say because you've got to like work on your feet. I'm a performer and I speak in front of people a lot. And some of my best performances have been trusting what my gut instinct says to say. Like maybe I was going to say one thing and then as I'm talking to people and I'm seeing what they like and what they don't like, I can be like, you know what?
You're reading the room.
I'm reading the room. I'm going to trust my gut. I'm going to trust my instinct. I'm going to change it up a little bit. And there are so many times I haven't followed that and I've regretted it because then I've seen like somebody else go up after me and speak or do comedy or something and they did what I wanted to do and didn't and they're getting laughs. And it's like, oh, dang it. So it's not always like, if I do this, something bad's going to happen. Or if I do this, sometimes it's just like a good life skill. I don't know. Rachel, do you have anything to add to that? Any personal stories?
Yeah. I don't have any personal stories, but it's just you're so right. You're so right. It is a good life skill in so many situations, not only like doing the right thing, but also like, situations that you don't belong in. Which direction to go in, like career-wise, what electives or what classes, like what you want to study, like where to go in life. It's your gut can guide you. Your little Jiminy Cricket.
Your little Jiminy Cricket. That's a great way to say that. I forgot when I taught third grade, I got to read that book. I was not a fan of the movie and my mom didn't like the movie growing up. So I did not grow up with it. Again, I know who Jiminy Cricket is, but I loved the book, even though it is there's some weird parts of the book, but it's a good book as far as like learning about your conscience and that. But I think Jiminy Cricket was a conscience and technically the gut instinct is a little bit broader than that, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
But another way, the people you hang around with, the people you surround yourself with are one of the more important choices you're ever going to make in your life, because those people, even if you think like, I'm so cool, I can't be influenced. Yes, you can. And in a good way, you're also influencing the people around you. I can't tell you how many times like I start hanging out with people and then I realize I say the same things they say, like not in a bad way, but just like same catchphrases, or like start liking the same music they like. And that's great. Like that's not a bad thing, but you've got to watch that influence. And even more so, you know, right now you guys are young, but someday you're going to look for somebody, a partner to spend the rest of your life with. And let me tell you, when you start dating, you need to trust that gut instinct and trust what your you know, not conscience, but your that little voice is telling you, like, something is wrong here. I don't really like what this person said. This isn't adding up. And that's the same with friends. And it is so important to listen to that. And there are times I wish with friends and on dates that I had listened to that and run the other way. But it seems like this is easy, right? Okay, well, I'll know when something is bad or not. But there's some things that get in the way. One, let's say you're on a date with somebody and they're so cute. And you're like, oh my goodness, I don't know that I'm getting a good feeling, but they're cute. So I'm going to keep, you know, or a friend.
Shut up, gut.
Or a friend who is so cool and so popular. And so maybe I have a feeling that's telling me, maybe you shouldn't hang out with these people, but they're so cool. And then there's another thing, and this I know happens to me a lot, and that is I'm a very like anxious person. And so sometimes my gut will tell me that everything is bad. And and I have to kind of sit. Yeah, so it's like a reverse situation where for me, I, as a kid, did miss out on certain things. I've never climbed a tree. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. We don't need to go there. I've never climbed a tree. I've never done things that are adventurous like that because my gut was always saying, don't do this, you're going to get hurt. Don't do this, this, and that. And so as an adult, I've had to like sit and really learn how to tell, like, okay, gut, I feel like I'm talking to my stomach when I say that. Okay, gut, are you trying to tell me something and protect me? Or is this an anxiety I have that I'm scared of doing something new and exciting? And so it wasn't until I was, again, we don't need to talk about how old I am, but it wasn't until a couple of years ago when I told myself to start doing things that made me uncomfortable in a safe way, going on stage, performing, stuff like that, where it was like something that was not bad. It wasn't going to put me in danger, but it was going to kind of show my gut, that there are some things that are scary that are okay. And so it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing or should be avoided just because there is some risk involved. And so I kind of had to balance that. I don't know, Rachel, if you have any thoughts on
Well, yeah, like you were saying, sometimes you can go the other direction. Like sometimes you can catastrophize.
That's the word I was looking for, yes.
Make things up in your head. Like say you're with a group of friends and they seem grumpy that day, and then you walk away and you're like, is it me? They hate me, and your mind just spins in all these directions. And my husband would tell you that I do this all the time. But yes, sometimes your gut might be a little bit wrong. Sometimes it's not all about you. Like sometimes you can fantasize all these bad things are happening, or the people are talking about you, the people hate you, and it's just not true. So that's something to be aware of too.
Yeah. And so that's where it's like, okay, as I sat down and I was trying to put together notes for this episode, I decided not to, because I decided that I kind of wanted to explain like how I struggle with this even as an adult, of when to know how to trust your gut and when to know when your gut is maybe like overreacting a little bit. And that's when I started doing, like I mentioned, doing those things that are like risky, but not scary risky,
Not life-threatening.
Not life-threatening. I wish now climbing a tree, I guess, if it's a tall enough tree, could be life-threatening. But like,
I used to climb trees all the time. I was like expert.
I'm sad I didn't, right? There are things I missed out on because I was always so scared that I really wish I would have listened to. And then it was like, I wish my gut would have been more overreactive when I hung out with maybe somebody that wasn't so good of an influence. It's like, I wish you would do the right thing when it needed you to do. So I do think it's important to really learn to tell what your instincts, like really get to know what your instincts are trying to tell you. And if it's something that maybe might be an overreaction, like if your instinct is everyone in this room hates me, they're all going to say bad things about me, that's probably not true. Unless
No, it's not true.
you know that you're, unless you're going around and hitting everybody in the room, yeah, probably everybody's not going to like you. But
The truth is, everybody in the room is thinking the
also
same
thinks
thing.
that. So let's separate that. There's that instinct that's like, okay, now you're just making me worry on purpose. And then there's the instinct that's like, this is not a good situation. I need to get out of here because maybe there's some people doing things that are going to get me into trouble. You know, did I make a promise to my parents that I wouldn't hang out in this situation, and here I am? Or even, I'm trying to think of it's even in situations like survival instincts kick in.
Yes.
There are so many
yes.
stories of people who, like, I'm trying to think of the most extreme thing ever here, who maybe like crash their car in water and they have 30 seconds to, get out of their seatbelt and save other people. And their survival instincts just like kick in because they're able to just like trust that part of them so much. So our bodies and I guess more of like our psyche would be probably the correct way to say. I don't know how you'd categorize your gut instincts.
Sixth sense.
Kind of your sixth sense. Like that part of you is such an important thing to pay attention to and to like hone and get to know and understand. Because one, you will understand when maybe you're worrying when you shouldn't. And two, you can sometimes even save your life, but it will keep you out of trouble. And I don't think we talk about that enough. And I don't think we talk about it enough as though it's a skill. I think we always say things like trust your gut. But if your gut's been getting you into trouble a lot, like, maybe you need to sit down and really figure out what that is. So it's funny because talking about it almost feels like it's like some weird, like woo woo, as they say, topic, but it's really not. You've got instincts inside you that will help you know what to do and when something is bad and when something is not bad. So I know I kind of ranted on for a second, but I think it's a fun topic. I don't know, Rachel, any closing thoughts?
It is such an important life skill and is something that you will hone your whole life. And so you might as well start now.
Might as well start now. All right. Well, we will wrap it up there so that you can go ahead and start right now. And don't forget, as always, to like and subscribe to the podcast and share with friends. And until next time, we will talk to you later.
See you later.